QI, where we're all feeling rather jolly. Here to tickle our ribs are four jolly good fellows, the jovial Rob Brydon, the jocular Tim Vine, the jubilant Julia Zamiro, and Jesus, it's Alan Davis. Well, so if anyone wants to go beyond a joke tonight, they'll have to jingle their jangles. And Julia goes...
Oh, it's an animal from my country. That's nice. Or bird. Kookaburra.
It is a kookaburra. Well spotted.
Thanks.
Tim goes...
Oh, it's an animal from my country.
And Rob goes...
It's an animal from the country.
And Alan goes...
Wow.
Fabulous. So, simple question, who's happy?
He's happy in the picture.
Yep.
Yeah.
Old men with young ladies. Oh, old ladies with young men.
I was going to say they
Why
might,
not?
They might be gerontophiles.
Me, not me.
Not you, no.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
He's one of the dwarfs.
Oh, that's true, as in the old joke is, yes, 6 out of 7
I can't believe that
dwarfs
hasn't
aren't
flashed.
happy.
They haven't got that on the klaxon?
Well, no, they haven't. This is a happy whose name is Happy, spelled H-A-P-I.
Edwin Starr had a song, H-A-P-P-Y, Radio.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway, continue.
No, that's good, it's good. Good information. We love good information, Tim, here, as you know. We have to go back to a previous civilization.
Is it? Oh, no.
Aztec.
Egyptian.
Egyptian is right.
I'll get stuffed, I can't believe it.
When you get the answer right, you don't have to insult me. You
No, I know.
just accept your points gracefully.
That picture there is actually the backdrop to a famous game show. I'll name that 2 in 1.
Very good.
What sort of reaction is that?
It's one
I'm used to.
Yes,
That's what you thinks.
So that is the
It's a
god...
very unusual mind we have on this show.
It is. This is a god called Happy, who was always represented as being faintly pot-bellied and sort of hermaphroditic with breasts. Happy had breasts, though was not considered female, and had a sort of harem of...
Ladies.
Men.
Animals.
No.
Men. Boys.
Castrati.
Frogs.
Frogs?
Yeah.
Frogs, Tim.
Hang on.
There'll be a pun in a minute.
Do you think if the frogs in the harem really started to get it on with each other and one of them whipped out a camcorder, would that be frogs porn?
You're a malign influence.
The worrying thing is I have actually done that joke in the past.
Too late now. It's too
He's
late.
the thief of bad gags. The fact is, Happy was the god who was responsible for the flooding of the Nile, which is an annual event that took place in July and was cause of much celebration. If you've ever been up or down the Nile, you will know that it's really just this great carving of green through a desert, which is all made fertile by this river. So it was, the whole civilization was predicated on the flooding of the Nile, and Happy was the god who caused it. So, moving on. What's the jolliest, but frankly most dangerous thing you can buy in a joke shop? Tim?
I went to a joke shop. I said, what are you actually selling here? He said, nothing, we're not a real shop.
Anyway, I've got some jokes here that give you an example. Here we are. And almost all of these were invented by one man who could be regarded as the father of the joke shop. Have some nuts, Tim. What happens when you open the nuts?
Oh, no.
I'm guessing I
You're
could aim
guessing.
this at Rob.
Yeah.
Hours of laughter.
That reminds me of last Saturday evening.
It's a man called Sorensen Adams. He started life working for a coal tar derivative company, and coal tar derivatives have many uses, one of which was for a dye, and the particular dye that came from coal tar had the bizarre side effect of making people sneeze. So the company managed to isolate the ingredient that made people sneeze and took it out. And he happened to be passing and he saw these great barrels of the stuff that made people sneeze. He thought, I'll have those. So he founded the Ka-Choo sneezing powder company. And it was a huge, huge success. He sold $15,000 worth of Ka-Choo just in the first year, which was a vast sum in 1910, which is around the time we are. But 25 years later, it was banned by the FDA for being toxic. Oh. But he had, meantime...
After several deaths.
Yes. Meantime, he'd invented the squirting lapel flower.
Oh.
I mean, that would fool anybody, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
There you go. And as a little ring.
Oh, he's had one of those. Yeah.
Highly amusing. Help yourself to a dog turd. Whoops, there we are. They're different from the old ones. Used to be hard and plastic. That's squidgy.
You're
It's
touching
really
them.
quite unpleasant. Numerical. Oh, dear. Oh, that is horrible, isn't it? No! Even if that isn't a dog turd, that's a horrible thing to do.
If you swallow that...
If I swallow it, it's going to come out the other end. What is it then?
Then it will be
Fake or not?
a real false turd.
Well, actually, Alan, I'm just getting a message. There's been a bit of a mix-up, apparently.
This is a real one.
And here's a you can cut your finger off. Oh, you try this pen. Try writing something with the pen.
Oh, this is going to be hilarious.
Oh dear. I'm really sorry, because that is quite a severe electric shock. It's not.
Take your word for it.
It's not insignificant, that one. That is barely a joke.
It's not funny at all, Stephen.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll give it back to you.
That's really hurt.
A bendy pencil.
I don't want the bendy pencil.
A joy buzzer. He sold 3 million of these during the
You shake hands with someone.
During the
I don't know.
Depression, that's right. You put the sort of ring on your finger so it looks sort of normal.
Can you buzz me?
Yeah, you want to shake hands like that. It doesn't give you
It's a bit of a
shock,
letdown
it's just
after
a
the
buzz.
thing.
But he passed on... I say he passed on this, I don't mean... he thought this was too vulgar to sell. The standard whoopee cushion, you might want to blow that up. Yeah.
It's not Soren Lorentzen, who's the imaginary friend in the Charlie and Lola book.
No, it's not. Sorensen Adams. It's quite difficult
Is this a joke whoopee cushion you can't blow up?
It is difficult to get the sphincter open, isn't it? Whoa! There we go, that's right. Maybe while Alan isn't looking... Alan, lean over here for a second. That's it. That's it. Take the false egg, which is hilarious. Possibly the least convincing whoopee cushion noise I've ever heard.
Silent but deadly.
It's strangely realistic.
Yeah.
I just smothered it completely.
Well, Alan's wearing a whoopee cushion silencer on his jeans.
Very sensible.
The best one is the the remote control fart
Yeah, that
machine.
is...
Have you got one of those?
I have, of course I have.
Have you got one?
How does it
Anyone got
work?
one of those? You've got to get one of those.
They are marvellous.
You just... Christmas...
Buried under the cushion near your arms or something.
It's funny even if you just put it under your dog's basket, because the dog... the
But
dog goes...
I can take a picture, Aaron, smile.
No, God, what's going to happen now?
Oh, it's
Yes, it is.
water. Anyway, we can probably put away our little tray of fun toys, having electrocuted Alan, which is the purpose of the evening. Maybe you could pass
How'd
me
you
your...
blow it up, then?
Could you
Like
pass
that,
me
you
your
got
turd? Whoa. That's... I think if you over... Maybe.
Here we
Have
go.
a go. That's...
One of these has never had a round of applause from 600 people before.
I read somewhere that this was the intellectual quiz show, and you can see why. Now, one of the things I want to prepare you for is to see if you can, during the course of today's lesson, prepare in any spare moments you have a limerick for me. You know what a limerick is?
Yes.
aside from being a county in Ireland.
Town.
Yes.
There was an
in
old
town.
man from Limerick who was completely unaware of a short, often humorous poems that shared the same name as his hometown.
Very, very good. Anyway, so you'll be ready for that. We've got a quickie for you. What happens if you put someone's hand in a bowl of water while they're sleeping? Yeah.
They have a little whittle, don't they?
Oh, no, they don't have a little...
They don't?
No, it's a total myth. Total myth, perpetuated by school children and others. All kinds of experiments been done. That splendid programme, Mythbusters, tried it. 0 wetting ensued. There's no reason why it should happen.
It must have happened once.
Well, by
By
coincidence, possibly, and that coincidence was assumed to be causal, and from that moment on, the myth was born. You can try it at home, I recommend it, with your spouses and
A
children.
bit like the one where if you wet yourself while you're driving, you crash the car.
I would frankly...
That happened to everyone?
If I crashed a car, I think I would wet myself. It's the other way around, you see.
See, that's what's interesting about the experiment.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
What about when you fall asleep and you wake up and you've had half your eyebrow shaved off?
Then you have bad friends.
I do have hideous friends. Yeah, because that's the other thing that can happen.
Yeah.
It's all right. I'm over it. It's
You
fine.
have your eyebrows shaved off.
Yeah, you know. Obviously,
I
no
so
one...
don't.
Yeah, you fall asleep and someone goes, oh, this will be even funnier. Put your hand in a bottle of thing and then vroom, vroom, you wake up and you look hideous.
That's just vile.
I'm Australian.
Anyway, Sorensen didn't sell whoopee cushions because he didn't think flatulence was amusing. So, what is the most amusing thing to come out of a sewage plant? Look at that.
Oh, that's really
disturbing.
very
isn't it?
unpleasant.
And there are people in the background there bobbing along.
Is that in the UK?
Oh, that's the ocean.
That's actually in Ghana.
In Ghana.
Ghana, so...
Poo jokes. Is
Poo
that the
jokes.
funniest thing to come out of a sewerage?
Crap jokes.
Crap
jokes?
jokes, yeah, really crap jokes.
Thank you. Good on you.
Yeah, there is something that really does actually cause laughter that comes out. It
Comes out. Oh, okay, I know.
Yeah,
I know. It's a type of gas, then, isn't it?
Yes.
It's to do with... It's the same gas. I've got it, Julia. It's the same gas, like what they might call a laughing gas.
Yes.
But here, rather than being in canisters in a dentist's room, perhaps,
Yeah.
or in another medical establishment,
Yeah.
perhaps here it's coming out as a natural byproduct of the faeces, the waste, the fecal matter
Yeah.
that's gushing forth in a liquidised form.
Yeah,
So
absolutely
that's
right.
what it is.
It is.
I love it.
Yep.
Is it nitrous oxide?
Nitrous oxide is the... I don't know, as you even know, I'll accept that Rob did the work and you...
No, but I got the answer right.
Stephen, can I just say this? It's called nitrous oxide.
Yeah.
Nitrous oxide.
Yeah.
Sulfuric acid.
Yes. It's a very important greenhouse gas, N2O, nitrous oxide. In fact, it's 300 times more potent as a greenhouse gas than CO2. Its most significant man-made source is sewage treatment plants alongside agricultural waste and nitrogen fertilizers. It's also pumped into bags of crisps. Why would it be pumped into bags of crisps?
They're all crisp baggers are filled with gas, aren't they, to keep them fresh?
Exactly, it's to expel the oxygen.
They also pump it with gas so that you think you're getting more chips than you actually are.
Yeah,
And you go,
it's
oh, it's
full
only
bag.
a third
Yes,
full,
I know.
ripped off.
It's almost as if they want to make a profit out of you. It's
Almost.
really annoying. Yes, it was first used as a dental anaesthetic. I'll give you 10 points if you're 10 years either way right.
I don't know when it
year?
was, but I
What
did
year?
have a general anaesthetic quite recently, which I think is
Interesting.
interesting.
Yep.
And it was the same one that killed Michael Jackson.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's really... I mean, good that you survived. Yeah.
Propofol.
Yeah, that was that
That's
one.
what it
yes.
was.
But
It was
that's
propofol.
well
And
done.
So
I was
good on
lying
drugs.
there and I said, is this the thing?
It is an absolutely gorgeous
It's a
feeling, isn't it?
remarkable sensation, isn't
God.
it? Yeah. It goes in through your hand.
That's right.
And then the feel, I don't know, people have had it recently, but, I mean, if he was using this to get to sleep,
Oh,
he was in
I
a bad
know,
way.
he
Because
really
it goes right, it goes zoom, and you can feel it. But your head stays very, you know, awake.
Alert.
And I said to the anaesthetist, I said, wow, I said, my arms and my legs, they're like weights. They were being pulled into the bed. I said, but my head is completely
It's
And
extraordinary.
the next second, you're going, oh, and you're
You're
waking
being
up.
wheeled into the recovery.
Can you imagine having to have that every night to get you off?
Just horrifying, isn't it? Horrifying.
I used to go out with an anaesthetist. She was a local girl.
1920.
No, it's a... Yeah.
1930.
No.
1878.
No.
Wow.
Even earlier.
1820.
1844, yes, quite early.
That early?
Although it had been used before that as a recreational drug by, of course, who were the great recreational
Rock
drug
musicians.
users. No, not... There weren't many rock musicians before the 1840s.
There were, but you just didn't know about it. They were there.
When was Byron alive?
Ah, you're in the right area. We were in the area of romantic
The
poets.
Romantics.
And who was the great opium eater, apart from Thomas de Quincey, of the romantic poets?
I'm going to take a stab at this, Stephen. Pam Ayres.
No. Oh, God, I despair of the country in which I live. Can the audience please provide the answer? Casanova?
Was it Shelley?
Samuel Taylor
Coleridge! Of course it
He
was.
wrote
Stupid.
Kubla Khan while under the influence of opium.
Yes, did
Famously.
Xanadu,
Did
Kubla Khan.
stately
Stately
pleasure
pleasure
don't
don't
decree.
Of course he did.
It's also that great
Measureless to
musical
man.
with
Yep.
Olivia Newton-John.
Indeed. And laughing gas, as you can see, was used as a recreational drug, and Coleridge was one of the ones to use it. In fact, he described the dreamy, sedated state. He said, the first time I breathed in the nitrous oxide, I felt a highly pleasurable sensation of warmth over my whole frame. The only motion which I felt inclined to make was that of laughing at those who were looking at me. So there you can see, there's a satirical cartoon.
She
of
doesn't
how
look very willing, though.
the upper
that
class...
lady.
That she, must be said, is being forced into it. But the others had it and are laughing. She's about to laugh, clearly.
Looks like a giant whoopee cushion, actually.
It does, actually. But
Man
it's
on the
got,
left's got tiny chicken legs.
like all lazy cartoonists, he's written laughing gas on it so that you know what's going on.
Is this the inspiration for the scene in Mary Poppins where they float to the ceiling?
Maybe it is. The chapter of the book in Mary Poppins in which they all do rise to the ceiling is called Laughing Gas.
There's a book.
You! And you know who it's written by?
No, I didn't even know there was a book.
P.L. Travers.
Is there?
Yes, she wrote many...
She's Australian.
Yes.
Did she adapt the film? Was it one of those novellas they
No,
put out
she
after
disowned the film completely. In fact, they're making a film at the moment about the relationship between Walt Disney and P.L. Travers. And she absolutely loathed the film, which is crazy, because it's one of the greatest films ever
Why?
made.
I thought it was super.
It's
Colour.
simply flawless.
Is there in the book?
Expialidocious.
Is there a dark side to Mary Poppins?
Yeah, there is. There's a kind of world of weird creatures and so on. And I don't know what her objection was to it. I thought it was absolutely magnificent.
It is.
So there you go. What would be the best flavour for an exploding sandwich? Tim Vine.
Cheese and ham grenade.
Very good. Very good. Excellent. There
Wrong,
is-
then.
It's wrong. Well, I mean, it would explode, obviously.
Sauerkraut and cabbage can make you explode on a different level.
There
also
are,
funny.
in fact, this one would make you explode on that level too. It's in fact a classic English sandwich, as in the importance of being earnest. One of the sandwiches that
Watercress.
Aunt Augusta
Cucumber?
particularly likes.
Mustard.
She particularly likes cucumber sandwiches, but this is a very specific species of cucumber. There it is. You see, it's quite spiky.
Exploding
there's the
cucumber of
fuse.
Panama.
So it's the exploding cucumber, yes. It's the squirting or exploding cucumber.
Come
It's a
on.
Mediterranean plant. And when touched, it propels its seeds in a sticky mucus at over 60 miles per hour.
Pointing at Rob.
I'm just saying, when that picture came up, we looked across at each other, we both went, oh, testicles. I mean, it's... Didn't we?
But can we be very clear? I do not propel my seeds in a sticky mucus at 80 miles an hour.
And certainly not up to 30 feet.
No, not.
No.
Well, on a good day, on a good day.
In my teens.
You can see it's being touched here, and you can see the effect of the operation of it exploding, if you look carefully. Boing! Wow. Yeah, that's... I mean, it's a sexual act. I mean, it is spreading its seed. You can see the seeds flying everywhere. Whoa!
Does it do that to itself?
Well no, it's...
That looks like another bit of it.
Yeah, when it's very, very ripe and it falls, it will do it, but otherwise, when touched, it will also do it. Its actual Linnaean name is Ibalium elaterium, which translates as the squirting squirter. Ibalium as in ballistics, it throws out. That's the forceful ejection of its seeds. But the elaterium is the fact that it is a violent purgative, so it's a squirting squirter that gives you the squirt. So, yes, it would make you explode from behind as well. So, in that sense, it's fully explosive. Now, what's the world's longest-running gag? Yes?
Look over there. They look, he's shooting them.
No, no. It's using a particular joke to displace warfare, actually, and it's been going on since the 13th century, in a particular couple of tribes, Mali, in fact. The tribes are called the Traore and the Kone tribes. And what happens is that you have to take a joke from the member of the other tribe who basically accuses you of being a bean eater, of eating lots of beans, which is an insult. And you have to take that insult, and then you can find another member of the opposing tribe and accuse them of being a bean eater. And they just hang around calling each other bean eaters. And that saves them from killing each other. It's not the greatest joke in the world, but it's better than genocide, and it is the longest-running gag, as far as we know, in the world. It's a rather civilised way of sorting things out.
Great idea for a panel show as well.
Yes, absolutely.
You're a bean eater.
You're a bean eater.
Alan, you're a bean eater.
Julia?
Yes.
You're a bean eater.
Stephen, you are a bean eater.
You're a has-been eater.
Is that where it is?
Yeah, it certainly is. There are, of course, the yo mama jokes as well, which are used in the African-American community. Your mama's so fat that she could usefully have a calorie-controlled diet and regular exercise. They're probably better than that as jokes,
but mums are often used. Like, I remember the first time as an adult I went back to France to visit relatives, and, you know, my cousin driving, angry all the time. Ta mère, your mother, your mother. Yeah, and all that. And it's, you know, mums... So maybe mothers have always been...
Oh, absolutely. In fact, back to Shakespeare, you've got in Titus Andronicus, "Villain, what hast thou done? That which thou canst not undo. Thou hast undone our mother. Villain, I have done thy mother."
Oh.
And all over the world, curses against people's mothers are very, very common.
Sam Kinison does some fantastic...
Yes. Dead, sadly.
Yes,
yeah.
About people shouting to you, "Hey!" from the audience. "Yeah, that was the noise your mother made when I did her last night. You won't recognise her. When I was finished, I shaved her back."
That's a heckler put down, isn't it? He was a furious, furious comedian, wasn't he? So, yes, the Traore and the Kone clans in Mali have been calling each other Mr. Bean, essentially, since the 13th century. What did the world's first jukebox have on offer?
Is it going to be a man in a box and you give him something and he plays for you?
No. Do you know where the word jukebox comes from?
Yes, I've heard this, and I can't remember it. There is a story attached to this, isn't there?
A juke joint was a brothel. It was a Southern American slang for a brothel, probably from the African jug, meaning disorderly or unruly. And
so the popular vehicle, the Nissan Duke, is a Nissan brothel.
I'm afraid so. There you go. And they were called juke houses or juke joints, and like all kinds of places of ill repute and law-breaking, of course, they served all kinds of liquor and offered dancing and, indeed, music and gambling. And then when the first commercially available box that you could put a nickel in and it played a tune, people just called it a jukebox because they kind of thought it was like making your own private little dance hall or juke joint. And the manufacturers resisted this terribly. They wanted to be called a brothel box, but that's what they became known as. The very first one is you'd actually go into a shop where there was a speaking tube and you would speak down and say, "I would like the Foxtrot in Blue by the, you know, whoever, Jelly Roll Morton." And the person at the other end would go, "Very good, sir," and he would go off and find it and put it in the record player and attach the speaking tube to the horn of the gramophone, and you would listen that way.
Is that a Wurlitzer?
It's a Rocola.
They are beautiful things, and yet...
Really
course,
lovely objects.
They are beautiful, and yet, of course, whenever you go to someone's house and they have one, they're almost invariably people with no taste. Except for Lee Mack. He has one, and a man with greater taste you will never encounter.
He has great trouble getting up the stairs as well, doesn't he? Because it weighs like a small car.
Yes, the really old ones weigh an absolute ton.
Well, the very old ones, of course, had the band in there as well.
Well, they're magnificent devices, and now, of course, the kind of things that, like pinball machines that rock stars have in their lonely, drug-infested houses.
Why did you say Duke refers to brothel? Because, of course, rock and roll music, rock and roll was slang for
Also,
sex.
for jiggy jiggy doo doo.
Yeah, so it's
yes. Jiggy jiggy doo doo.
I don't know.
Jiggy, jiggy, doo-doo!
Yes, jukeboxes were originally brothels in the deep south of America. Now, what's the worst place to be licked by a goat?
Oh,
At your parents' house.
perineum.
Well, the perineum would be unpleasant.
What bizarre set of circumstances would result in you having your perineum well and truly licked by a goat?
A goat rimming is not necessarily a form of anything.
You're squatting,
Yes,
In
this
the
is the
bush.
excuse you give the doctor.
you're
isn't
caught short,
it? Yeah.
out on a country walk,
Yep.
Yeah.
and you squat down onto a discarded sandwich. And the passing goat licks it,
This is never going to have a happy ending.
licks it off your perineum.
So has this happened then? Has somebody been licked?
Somewhere in the world, it's happening right now.
Yep.
What he said is not the right answer, I ought to tell you.
So it's not the perineum?
No, it's not.
Is it to do with the tongue because it's so raspy?
It is to do with the
and-
raspiness of the goat's tongue. It was used as a torture.
Oh.
Is that you would tie someone to a tree such that their legs were sticking out.
not licking the feet.
Bare feet. And
They
you
do
would
that
cover the
with pigs
feet,
too, didn't they?
cover the feet with honey, and the goat would lick it. And at first it would be a pleasant tickling sensation, and then it would rip off layers of skin.
It would have livened up that scene in Goldfinger, wouldn't it? When he's tied down and the laser beam comes into his leg. If he'd said, you know, oh my God, no, not the goat. Mr. Bond, I put some honey onto the underside of your foot. You might call it your soul. Bring in the goat. And he goes, oh, no, not a goat, it's a furry goat, no. Oh, and then he goes, actually, that's quite pleasant. And he says, soon the pleasure will turn to pain, Mr. Bond. And then he said, you expect me to talk? No. I expect you to die.
Well, Franciscus Brunus, who was a late medieval jurist and expert on torture, said in 1502 that I hear this is a very hard torture and totally safe. Tickling was used in the stocks as well. You'd tickle people's feet in the stocks. And in the Han dynasty in China, they used tickling a lot. In the old curiosity shop, I don't know if you've read
It's the
that.
only Dickens novel I've read.
Oh, well, then you might remember.
Can't remember any of it.
Oh, dear. Well, you
Seems
might
to have
remember...
no memory function whatsoever now.
No, there was little Nell who died. And Oscar Wilde said of that, you would have to have a heart of stone to read the death of little Nell without laughing. Because it is Dickens at his most sentimental, unfortunately. But there was a Mr. Jasper Packlemerton. And Jasper Packlemerton apparently killed 14 wives by tickling them to death. And
With a knife.
Dickens may have got this from an illustrated police news of 1869, where a wife was driven insane by her husband tickling her. She was fooled by her husband into thinking that by being tied to a plank it would help her back, and he then proceeded to tickle her toes until she went mad, which is not nice, to be honest.
It would take a while.
Yeah, it would. It would basically take a while. Now, let's see how your Java geography is. Lots of points for the right answer, and a measly -10 for a wrong one. So, try and be right. What's the name of the largest mountain in Japan?
Fuji.
Is the right answer. Yes. It's an active volcano, though it hasn't actually erupted for 200 years.
So it's probably about due.
Yeah, it probably is.
Vesuvius is overdue. It's
The-
right next to Naples, and it's overdue, and there's no way of predicting when it will erupt.
No.
They told us this when we went to see it on a school trip.
That'll cheer you up, won't it?
This is the days before health and safety. They took you up into the crater.
Any minute now, we're expecting it.
It's overdue. We were standing in the crater of it. A party of school children. And to get there, you had to walk across a lava flow that had a sulphur crust. It was about that thick.
Whoa.
And so you walked across it, and there are places where it had fallen through and had just a small fence around it, and underneath was
Yeah, I know.
volcanic mire.
Amazing, isn't it?
And they said to us, walk in pairs and don't jump up and down. That was the safety bridge, and we all gathered together and jumped up and down together, of course.
Of course you did. They told you
We were
not to.
12-year-old boys.
Anyway, so can you name a Caribbean island group beginning with B?
Bahamas.
Oh! Alan got there first, and I'm afraid they are not Caribbean, they're Atlantic.
What?
They're not in the Caribbean, the Bahamas. They're in the
I've been on
Atlantic.
holiday to them. I've done a lot of holidays.
Yes, you have. There is an island group beginning with B in the Caribbean. Very good in the audience.
This is superb
Someone shouted
accent.
out one of the rarest things you could possibly imagine, British Virgin. I wouldn't have accepted Barbados because it's just a single island.
It's only one island, Barbados.
Exactly. There you
Bahamas
go.
are not in the Caribbean.
No, I know, big surprise.
This bloke came up to me.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to dress up as a small island off the coast of Italy. I said, don't be Sicily.
Excellent. Now, which is the largest of the Great Lakes of North America? Yeah.
Ontario.
No, it's not Ontario.
Is it a slightly trick question? Is it Hudson?
It's not Hudson,
That
no,
big?
the
Oh, that's
Hudson
Hudson
Bay.
Bay, isn't it?
No, most of us were brought up to believe that Lake Superior was the largest lake in the world, in fact.
That
But
was
in
the other one I
fact-
was going to get wrong.
Yes. In fact, all Americans are taught now that it's actually Michigan and Huron, which are two lakes together, are now considered one lake for various technical reasons.
They were
Michigan
formed,
Huron.
I know this, they were formed after an ice age when the ice melted and retreated and they left a big puddle, a very big
A very big puddle indeed. It's connected by the Straits of Mackinac along the top there, but they're considered a single lake because they lie at the same elevation and rise and fall together. So they are one lake, and they're
It is
bigger
one
than Lake
lake.
Superior. Exactly. So now, who can name a Shakespeare play set in Verona? Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet?
Yes, perfectly. Very done.
Thank you. Thank
Yes, what you avoided was the trap of saying Two Gentlemen of Verona, which is not set
He really
in
looked
Verona.
like he was enjoying sitting for that.
Yes, he did, indeed. Do you know where Two Gentlemen of Verona is set? In
Birmingham.
Not set.
So Two Gentlemen of Verona is in Italy.
It is in Italy. It's actually set in Milan.
Great.
The gentlemen themselves are from Verona, but well avoided.
I went to see The Merchant of Venice on Broadway with Al Pacino, and that seemed to be set in Brooklyn. Does a Jew not have feelings?
I remember I said to this bloke, I said, I'm appearing in Hamlet at the Globe Theatre. He said, are you being facetious? I said, no, Polonius.
Very good. Finally, on the geography, which country crosses the most time zones?
Is it... Oh...
Yeah, go on, do it.
Come along.
All right.
Go on, yay.
Wales. See, I told you. I knew not to do it.
And yet,
I knew you always want
At
to do
least
it.
you didn't get a klaxon.
Well, like, it was my first...
Yeah.
Canada.
No, it's not Canada. I'm afraid we did.
I think it's a trick, because I think it's going to be a country that's got outposts.
Possessions, you're correct.
Is it going to be is it the United Kingdom?
It's not the United Kingdom. We don't count our possessions as all being part of the mother country, but one ex-colonial power does regard all its outlying possessions as being part of the mother country.
France?
France is right. Oh, yes, you got the buzzer. I have to give it to you that.
Yes.
You were just too lazy to buzz.
You've got to use the buzzer, that's the rule.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so France has 12 different time zones. US has 11 time zones because of Hawaii being all the way. And Russia, 9. Now, what is the longest thing about this animal?
Oh, it's cock.
It's ears.
It's a bilby! That's a bilby!
Not a bilby. And it's, the longest thing is not the ears. We rather hid the longest thing. It's a cute little creature.
Is it his tail?
It is the tail. Well done. Let's have a look at
I was going to say tail.
Oh, look at that.
it. It's a cute little thing.
Very easy to catch him. You
Hops
stick
like a
your foot
little
down.
kangaroo. There it goes. It lives in the Gobi Desert.
That is cute.
And it has a very long tail, as you can see, that it uses for balance, and rather like a kangaroo, and it can also sit up on it. It's very, very endearing. The ears are thought to be, to say, you know, to let the cool itself, the blood cools through the ears. That looks rather dead, that one.
He's got he's treated himself to a Kinder Surprise.
He swallowed the toy and choked from it.
Yeah. And it's called a jerboa. It's called a jerboa with a J, hence our J. It's from an Arabian word, in fact, meaning flesh of the loins, rather oddly. But it's the same origin as the word gerbil. And what is it about humans and big ears?
They get bigger.
They get bigger.
Ears get bigger.
Yeah, I mean, old men do seem to have longer ears, but the trouble is no one's done a study where they've measured their ears when they were younger. Because it could well be, it's logical,
the head's
that
getting
actually
smaller.
having large ears is a predictor of a long life.
Oh.
I know what that man did for a living.
What's that?
He was a bowler hat model.
He was a very fine bowler hat model.
I've got quite big ears, but I can also see what it's like to be someone whose ears are flat against the side of their head, because I can go like that.
Oh, my goodness!
And I can hold it so it's like having an instant facelift, like that.
How do you do that?
Well, I can't really talk like this as well. I'll tell you later. It means I can do a thing like when you do it on a roller coaster and you just go over the top of your...
I bet your so-called serious brother Jeremy can't do that.
He can't do that.
Yeah, that's another way.
He could
another
host a
win.
phone-in about it, though, couldn't
Yes,
he?
he certainly could. Do call in if you can wiggle your ears.
No problem with your ears. Give us a ring now. Go on.
He did once on his show, genuinely, I thought they were running out of things to do that day. He said, please, and this was, honestly, it wasn't a joke, he said, please phone in if the sound of your own voice terrifies you. That was a phone topic.
Did anyone call in?
Screaming.
Any calls?
Yeah, they had some people ring up, yeah.
Sobbing.
So just...
Help me, I'm so afraid!
Anyway, why would the King of France enjoy a naive salad, for starters?
He's got a tiny head. Has he got massive ears under that wig?
Of course, naive backwards is...
Evian.
Evian, as in the water. Isn't it?
Yeah,
Evian.
yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Mr. Fry.
So it's not that it's backwards that's relevant, but it's the letters of naive make Evian, and the letters of naive salad could be rearranged to make...
Dallas.
No, that would be two L's, darling.
You're absolutely right.
Yes,
Carry on.
Yeah, naive salad. See if we can rearrange them. Anyone in the audience can see what's going on?
Alive?
Alan Davis. Of course, I think your middle name is Roger, isn't it? So,
It is.
so Alan R. Davis would be anal advisor. Which might be even better. The King of France might enjoy an anal advisor.
Let's get a business card done immediately.
Or you could be a ladies' van. But the point is, the kings of France enjoyed an anagrammateur royal, a royal anagrammer. It was like a court jester. He would make up flattering anagrams of your name. We probably know the famous ones like Britney Spears is an anagram of Presbyterians, rather strangely, but it is. Virginia Bottomley, who was a Tory MP under Margaret Thatcher, anagrammatizes into I'm an evil Tory bigot. Which is just one of those things. And you get ones that... one of the ones that always fascinates me is that laptop machines is an anagram of Apple Macintosh, which is very extraordinary, isn't it? And in Japan, they had a similar sort of wordplay fest, which is where someone would start off with a haiku, 5 syllables, and then someone would add a 7-syllable line. It was called the maikuzuke, responding to the front line, and you'd add up making some witty or satirical poem on the fly. And that's why I asked you to write a limerick. So have you got limerick for me? Any of you? I hope you have.
I do.
Oh, go on then.
Girls first.
Yeah.
I carouse in a style bacchanalian, but I sleep in a way marsupilian. I like to eat cheese, but I never say please. Yes, I'm French, but I'm also Australian.
Oh, that's very good. It's certainly better than the one I know about Australia. There was a young man from Australia who painted his arse like a dahlia. Tuppence a smell was all very well, but threepence a lick was a failure. Alan, what have you got for us?
I've got... There once was a show on TV that was always the smart place to be.
Yeah.
I'm fully aware you'd rather be there, but instead you're stuck here with me.
Oh, very good. I like it.
I've got one about Rob Brydon.
Oh.
Just because I found something that rhymed with Brydon.
Yeah.
There was a young man called Rob Brydon whose favourite film was The Poseidon Adventure. And he would watch it regularly. That funny old man called Rob Brydon.
I think it's excellent. That's not an easy one. Yeah, yeah.
It's easy to win on QI. You don't need an IQ that's high. Try not to be haughty, just be a bit naughty and make sure you please Stephen Fry.
Yeah! Very, very good. And so, highly flattering at many points.
Appearing one night on QI, I made up 3 facts on the fly. The first was untrue, the second was 2, and the third was about the size of my cock, and it was no exaggeration.
Well,
Yes, Rob, what have you got for us?
nothing, as will become evident. Yeah. There once was a chap called Tim Vine.
Oh, hello.
Whose punning was simply sublime. Sat next to Alan... Oh, bugger. OK. There once was a man called Tim Vine, whose punning was more than just fine. Sat on the panel with no end of flannel, that lovely young chap called Tim Vine.
Oh, that's very good. Very good. Very, very fine.
This is one I read in one of the Piccolo book of jokes. There was a young man from Devizes whose ears were different sizes. One was quite small and no use at all. The other was huge and won prizes.
Oh, that's very sweet. I like that. Excellent. Well, the strange thing about limericks is no one knows why they are called limericks. They seem to have no relationship to the town of Limerick, but they continue to be popular and sometimes excessively rude. There was a young chaplain from King's who talked about God and such things, but his real desire was a boy in the choir with a bottom like jelly on springs. There we go. Fair enough.
Top that.
Yeah. That brings us to the somewhat predictable punchline that we call the scores. And let's see what's been happening. Well, divine as he is, I'm afraid in last place with -27 is Tim Vine. The Bow of the Valleys is in third place with -6, Rob Brydon. Far from a failure, that wonderful Franco-Australian Julia with -3. It makes men gasp and stretch their eyes. Alan Davies is clear winner with +12. That's all from Rob, Julia, Tim, Alan and me. Thank you, good night, and be extremely pleasant to each other. Bye-bye.
More from QI.